This is 5.4, Part 1, Sum and Difference Formulas. This slide you don't need to write down. It's already on your golden formula sheet. Just make sure you see them on your formula sheet. These are the sum and difference formula. There's the sine of u plus v and the sine of u minus v. And to simplify that, you take sine of u cosine of v plus cosine of u sine of v, or sine of u cosine of v minus cosine of u sine of v. I'm not going to read these off, but we'll go ahead on the next slides, use them. And then we have the cosines and then the tangents. You do want to have your unit circle out on your desk again today for your lesson. Remember that on the unit circle, these are the ordered pairs from 0 to 2 pi. This ordered pair, x and y, for 30 degrees or pi over 6. This is the cosine of x. This is the sine. All right, here's the first question that you might see. Write the expression as a sine, cosine, or tangent. So here's what we give you. The cosine of 25 degrees times the cosine of 15 degrees minus the sine of 25 degrees times the sine of 15 degrees. We want to figure out which of the 6 formulas on this first slide that we just had, or on your formula sheet, represents this. Look at what we have. Cosine times cosine minus sine times sine. So if we go back to this formula sheet, which one is this formula with? Is it the blue, the red, or the black? Underneath this box is the formula, the cosine of u plus v. So this is what we have set up on the right-hand side. This is my u, and this is my v. So to go backwards from this right-hand side equation, to simplify it, it is the cosine of u plus v. So we say cosine of u plus v, which is 25 degrees plus 15 degrees, which is the cosine of 40 degrees. We just add those two angles together. Next example, given the sine of 3 times the cosine of 1.2 minus the cosine of 3 times the sine of 1.2. Again, we want to find out what formula goes with this equation. Well, the formula is, underneath this box, the sine of u minus v. The reason why, look at this right side, the sine of u, cosine of v, cosine of v. We have a subtraction, and then the cosine of u times the sine of v. So, to simplify it, we use that left-hand side. This represents the u, this represents the v in that equation. So we say the sine of u minus v. So the sine of u minus v equals the sine of u, which is 3, minus the sine minus v, which is 1.2, and then we just reduce that parentheses. 3 minus 1.2 is 1.8. Last one of these examples, again, write the expression as a sine, cosine, or tangent. Well, look what the words we have in this equation. They are all tangents. So we want to reduce this equation down. So the formula we're going to use, there's only 2 choices for the tangents. It's this one here. I just bring this up a little bit for you. What is my u? It is 2x, and the v is x. So now to clean up this equation, we say that it is tangent of u plus v. So u is 2x and v is x. And then we just combine those two terms together in the parentheses. So it's the tangent of 3x plus x. And this is the formula we used. Now in the next examples, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to have a question that looks like this, and we expand it out. So here's our question. Give the exact value of the sine, cosine, and tangent of this given angle. Our given angle is 255 degrees. And the reason why we want to use these formulas is sometimes the equation or the angles are not on the unit circle. So we want to ask ourselves, are there two angles that add or subtract to 255 degrees that are on the unit circle? So go ahead and take a moment and see if you can figure out some different adders or subtractors to 255 degrees. One is 300 degrees minus 45 degrees. 300 degrees minus 45 degrees gives us 255 degrees. So this is going to be our u, and that is going to be our v in each of our formulas. All right, so now we're set to go. So we say, what is the sine of 255 degrees as an exact value? We know we could use our calculator to just plug in the sine of 255 degrees. We wanted an exact form. So we say the sine of 255 degrees can be broken down into 300 degrees, which is on the unit circle, minus 45 degrees, which is also on the unit circle. Now we need to choose the appropriate formula, which is right here. The sine of u minus v. So we're going to substitute it into this blue formula. And now we're working with the right-hand side of the equation. And we say the sine of u, which is 300 degrees, times the cosine of v, which that's my v, 45 degrees, minus the cosine of u, 300 degrees, times the sine of v, which is 45 degrees. And then we look at the unit circle to get those exact values. So the sine of 300 degrees on the unit circle is negative square root of 3 over 2. And then we multiply it times the cosine of 45 degrees. That one you should be able to memorize pretty quickly when we were in chapter 4. That is square root of 2 over 2. And we say minus the cosine of 300 degrees, which is 1/2, times the sine of 45 degrees, which is also square root of 2 over 2. And now we have some reducing to do. Let's go ahead and multiply these fractions together. So when you multiply fractions, you multiply across. So a negative times a negative is a negative. And then square root of 3 times square root of 2 is square root of 6. And then 2 times 2 is 4. You're multiplying across those fractions. And then minus 1 times square root of 2 is just square root of 2. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Now I'm just clean up the fraction into one piece, minus 6, minus the square root of 2. I think I just lost my connection here. I did. Oh, over 2, all over 4. All right. Just going to remove that box back up here. Now it's going to ask us for what is the cosine of 255 degrees as an exact value. So we're going to use that same subtraction of the cosine of 300 degrees minus 45 degrees is 255 degrees. Well, we choose the appropriate formula again. We're using the right-hand side now. And we say cosine of u, which is 300 degrees, times the cosine of v, which is 45 degrees, plus the sine of u, 300 degrees, times the sine of v. Then we would use that unit circle again and find out what those values are. So the cosine of 300 degrees is 1/2. The cosine of 45 degrees is square root of 2, plus sine of 300 degrees is negative square root of 3 over 2, times the sine of 45 degrees, square root of 2 over 2. Now we multiply across. 1 times square root of 2 is square root of 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative square root of 3 times 2 is negative square root of 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Now just combine those fractions together. We do have one more piece left on this slide. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording there because it is getting kind of long, and we'll pick back up.